Hello and welcome back to another episode. Now, today I want to talk about a really special book. This book came along in primary school when I was sort of going into the next stage of reading. You know, I had a good basic grasp of reading, but I was learning to read more and more complicated stories on my own. And the book I'm talking about is this book here, Henry's Quest. Now, Henry's Quest is an incredible story. It is set in a town surrounded by a forest, very much like a fairy tale. And in this town, people live a village lifestyle. They're farming amongst houses and streets and this kind of thing. My strange language there's a reason for that, it'll become apparent. And they have these legends based on a storybook, the last storybook ever in existence as far as they're aware. And in this storybook they hear about King Arthur and his knights and ladies, medieval jousting matches and this kind of thing. And the people in this small community decide to emulate that. So the man in charge of the community calls himself King Arthur, I think King Arthur the Second, and sets himself up as this grand king in this fairy tale world. Now, there's something that they desperately want in this community, and that is a long thought gone and mysterious animal, as far as they're aware, called petrol. Now, petrol, spelt in capital letters, is of course petrol. And what I'm describing is a community actually in the future, sometime in the future, probably in Britain it seems, judging by things like road signs. And this is completely cut off, this little town. People are living in the ruins, more or less, of a small town. And the king has set himself up actually in, I think it's like a boutique. It's the downstairs of a great shopping mall kind of thing. And you have toilets, men's and women's toilets, and you have all these cars lying around from this sort of showroom, this space. And the king wants petrol, because he's heard that this is how these vehicles move. At this point in time, all they have are donkeys pulling carts and this kind of thing. And our hero Henry hears the call. This sort of quest is set up, and he goes on an adventure to discover petrol. Now, the knights soon turn back. They find themselves far too wussy, as it were, to deal with the weather, or far too tall to go underneath tree branches and this kind of thing. Whereas little Henry, his donkey, his cart, and his well-stocked larder he takes along with him, for example, some sausages, a tent, an umbrella, this kind of thing. He's well catered for. He's doing okay. So he continues on his quest to try and find petrol. Now, I'm not going to ruin the story, but I will say that on his journey there are some remarkable things that he sees. The illustrations in this book are incredible. There are these sort of post-apocalyptic, I suppose we would call them now, views of the landscape. There are people who have set up forts in electricity pylons. There are people who are farming in and around the ruins of a jumbo jet. At one point he actually stops in the ruins of a petrol station to ask about petrol, but they don't know they're in a petrol station, neither he, Henry, or the people that he's talking to. And they've actually set it up as a pen where animals are being fed. And just above them you can see the Shell Corporation sign still there, overgrown. And as he goes deeper into this world, he comes across the ruins of motorways where pirate ships, almost trade ships, low-loader lorries with sails are going up and down. And he eventually makes his way to a city where a despotic leader has set himself up as a new Caesar, almost a new emperor. And he's living in a cathedral. And this city has got mastery of petrol, and Henry finds himself drawn into the world of this dark, overpopulated, underfed, grim city. And he actually unbeknownst to him, actually starts a revolution without even meaning to. He starts a revolution. But the question is, do things end up any better for the people in the city? I'm not going to say, but it's a fascinating story, and it's a vision of the future where people sort of go backwards in time instead of, for example, the wonderful, amazing vision set out by Tony Scott in Blade Runner. We have this we don't quite know what's happened. We don't know what's gone wrong, as it were. Has there been a war? Has there been a disease? We just don't know. All we know is that we're in a future where motorway signs are overgrown. And there's one moment in the book in particular, actually, which really sticks with me. I remember when I first read it, being fascinated by this moment where he makes his way into this house, and he's read about stories where knights kiss princesses and wake them up, and he comes to this woman and he kisses her on the lips, and it's a stone statue. But not only is it a big ruined, overgrown house, but it's actually the ruins of a safari park surrounding this old house, much like you have in Britain today. And suddenly there are creatures everywhere. They're just coming out of the woodwork, they're coming out of the bushes and everything. And there's the look on the donkey's face as they run for their lives through this safari park haunted me, actually. As a small child, I was amazed by this image and stunned by the look on the donkey's face. But this book actually, I think, influenced me greatly. It taught me several things about the world. It taught me that not everything now is going to last forever. It probably actually influenced my interest in how things change, and therefore possibly becoming an archaeologist for my job. But more than that, I think this book instilled in me a sense of wonder about the way things are in society and why they are like that. Are rules put in place, for example, for a good reason, or because people simply don't have the knowledge to put another rule in place? These are interesting questions, and all of them are raised by Henry's quest. It's a remarkable story, and as you can see on the front of the book, actually, Henry is there with his donkey. He's got his little shield. He's got an old air raid warden helmet on, and you can see the ruins of the old world in the background. I think it's a power station with a steam cooler, and also you can see a motorway sign there as well. It's an incredible story and an incredible vision of a future where actually human nature is sadly more or less the same as it is today. But I was always amazed and hypnotised by this story, and if you ever get a chance, do check it out. I think it's available on Amazon. I don't think it costs all that much. I haven't looked recently, but last time I looked it didn't cost much at all. Definitely check it out, definitely give it a go, because you won't regret it. If you're even at all inspired by beautiful artwork and interesting sort of slightly alternate realities, alternate futures almost, hopefully an alternate future, then this story will enthrall you no matter what age you are. If you've got a kid, buy it for your kid. If you just want to read it yourself, no matter how old you are, you will enjoy this story. So I couldn't resist sharing my love for this book. I distinctly remember picking it up in primary school. I remember seeing it on the shelf, seeing all these other books by Roald Dahl, Dick King-Smith, some other people, and I saw Henry's Quest, and I thought, what's that about? I didn't recognise the author's name, didn't recognise anything about it, picked it up, and I have barely been able to put it down since. This copy is actually the copy from my primary school. When one evening I borrowed it from school, and it just never made its way home. Not because I didn't want to take it back to school, sorry, but it just never made its way back to its home in school for various reasons, and it was never chased up. So I ended up keeping the book, and it's so lovely to know that that's the copy that first enthralled me all those years ago, 24 years ago. So there you go, guys. I just had to share this wonderful book with you, and as I say, give it a go if you ever get a chance. You won't be disappointed. As ever, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.